As school leaders, we love talking about engagement. We run surveys, we analyze attendance data, we create intervention programs for our at risk kids. But here's what we're missing: you can't engagement kids into caring about the campus experience. You can't data dashboard them into showing up. And what actually works is giving students a genuine opportunity to taste success and then watching what happens next. Right now, there's a group of kids on your campus. They're in your building. They may or may not be behavior problems. They're not failing, probably. They're just there, existing. They get on the bus, they go through the motions, they get back off the bus. No clubs, no sports, no connection. They're what you might call the invisible middle. And every traditional intervention we throw at them bounces off because none of it speaks to what they actually need. When kids go through an entire school experience without finding that one thing that actually makes them feel capable, confident, and connected, we failed them. Not academically, but as humans. We've taught them that school is a place to survive, to just get through, not a place to discover who they can become. The ripple effects show up in dropout rates, disengagement, and a generation that associates learning with compliance instead of possibility. Today's guest, Tommy Floyd, runs the National Archery Schools program. And it's a program that served 24.7 million students with an unblemished safety record and jaw-dropping stats around engagement and resilience. This isn't just about archery. It's about what happens when you give an unreached kid a chance to succeed at something that matters to them. I'm Danny Bauer. This is Better Leaders, Better Schools, the original Ruckus cast for innovative school leaders who want to do school different within a traditional setting so that we create campus experiences worth showing up for. Thanks to Ruckus makers just like you, this show ranks in the top 1% of nearly 4 million podcasts worldwide. So thanks for pressing play, and we'll be right back with the main episode after some messages from our sponsors. For over 30 years, ODP Business Solutions has helped schools transform from whiteboards to smartboards. Why? Because when you get the right tools, everyone wins. Visit odpbusiness.com/education to revolutionize your school's learning spaces. It's odpbusiness.com/education. Staffing stability isn't just about filling positions. It's about what makes educators stay. Frontline Education's 2026 K-12 Lens Report highlights what districts are doing differently to strengthen retention and long-term support. You can download the full report at frontlineeducation.com/leaders. That's frontlineeducation.com/leaders. Over 1 million teachers rely on IXL because it's empowering, it helps them make better decisions with reliable data, and it adapts instruction based on student performance. You can get started today at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. All right. And Tommy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Daniel. Great to be here.
So I think I remember from our pre-interview chat that you thought NASP was about archery, but you figured out that it's really about the kids. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. Happy to. And again, thanks for having me. The National Archery in Schools program began in 2002, and the people that were behind it were, yes, they were about archery, but they were secretly and deeply about children. I began my NASP journey as a high school principal. It was a real busy day, and I received an email about a program the state was going to launch. And as an archer, it was something that piqued my interest. I immediately called a friend of mine. We were both archers, bow hunters together, and I said, "Hey, like we need something else to do, but let's see what this is about." Fast forward about 5 or 6 months, there were about 16 or 17 young people that I would not have interacted with at the depth that I did. And what I saw archery do to those children of all ages. I had elementary, I had middle, I had high school kids, I had tall kids, short kids, males, females, I had kids of affluence, I had kids in poverty. To the person, I
Mm,
saw it change those kids by something you'll hear me say in this interview over and over and over. Every child in America, every child in the world needs success. And one
mm.
of my blessings of this life was to meet people like yourself and others who chase the opportunities to provide success for kids. So I can go in much more in depth of what I'm talking about, and I hope we'll explore that. But basically, what began as an archery journey, I saw
Yeah.
kids become comfortable, confident, focused, poised, able to deal with disappointment, able to deal with success. I saw kids that were almost mute become great encouragers of the group. You don't
Mm,
you don't show those attributes unless you've
mm.
tasted a little bit of success. And I think that the National Archery in the Schools program has 24/7 million opportunities to date to share some success with kids. And educators out there who aren't aware of what NASP is, I hope for no other reason will look at NASP for the opportunity to help kids find success.
Right on. In some of those ways the students and the kids grew, what was it about the program
Well,
that allowed that to happen?
great question. I did not design or create the National Archery in Schools program. I've been with it for 20 some years, 23 years. You know, it is easy to replicate wherever it goes. I will start with this. The
Hmm.
training for teachers is all built about safety. Then it's built on teaching students to shoot a bow with a universal draw length so that any size student almost can shoot the bow. We have a
Okay.
our equipment is universal. So there's no advantage for affluence or no disadvantage for poverty or anywhere in between. The 11 steps that we teach to shoot the bow is something that's taught now in over 10,000 schools in over 62 jurisdictions, all 50 US states, two other countries, British Virgin Islands and New Zealand. So what makes it so good at getting it across to kids is, a kid walks in the gym, they're going to have PE class today, somewhere between grades 4 through 12. That's what our program is aimed toward. That boy or girl is not going to play kickball or volleyball or basketball or whatever they're used to doing. There's an archery range set up because their teacher has gone through basic archery instructor training and they're ready to teach those 11 steps. So the boy or girl in question is in the back of the line and it's finally their turn. They place their feet on the shooting line. Teacher goes through the 11 steps, or maybe they even start them off with the string bow, which we teach first before they ever draw the bow. The string bow helps them with their form, and it's something they can use
Okay.
at home while they're learning the 11 steps, while they're learning to actually shoot the bow safely. A really neat thing happens. You take a kid who maybe isn't real vocal, maybe they aren't really outgoing, and those arrows begin going where that kid wants them to go. And those kids that
Mhm.
struggle, then they get on track and those arrows begin going. Once a child tastes a little bit of that, they can't wait to tell their buddies in the back of the line, hey, did you see where my arrows went? They go to lunch. They talk to their buddies at the lunch table. Hey, let me tell you what we did today in PE. We did archery. It was awesome. This is the story that continues. They get on the bus. They go home. They tell mama, papa, dad and mom, guardian, foster parent, whoever, hey, we did archery today and I really like it. Then a month or so later, they learned that the school is going to offer an after school program. It's going to
Mm.
offer an after school competitive program, and they want to participate. They want to try out. So that what parents and grandparents and guardians of all sizes and colors and shapes and locations tell us is we were just bebopping through our day one day, and
Mhm.
Johnny or Jill came home and couldn't stop talking about archery. Now they're on the archery team. Now we're in the booster club for the archery school, program. Now we're helping to raise money so they can go to such and such. They're going to qualify for regions. They're going to qualify for state, and they may qualify for nationals. So
Hmm.
we feel like we've got we're getting ready to start our 24th year. We feel like that we have a lot of opportunities to share. If you get on our website, you'll see examples of kid after kid, many of whom are adults now, who have tasted a little bit of NASP, and they really, really liked it, Danny. They really liked the way that NASP made them feel about themselves, made them a contributing member of a team, and mom and dad really like it too, because it
Yeah.
engages kids.
Yeah. Right. And I don't know if I've shot a bow before. Maybe it probably wasn't like a real bow, like at a medieval, sort of festival
Sure,
type of thing,
sure,
right? With my
sure,
nephews. I've shot clay pigeons, that kind of thing with shotgun, and
sure.
I was actually surprised at how good I was. And nothing, I'll tell you, Tommy, nothing beats the roar of men behind you, right? When
That's
you
right.
like
That's right.
when you
Yeah,
hit the clay pigeon. I love
yeah.
that so much. But where I was going with that, I also remember reading back in the day a book called, I think it was called Zen in the Art of Archery. But there's, you're talking about success, and there's something about the skill, the discipline, the focus, right?
There
That's
is.
required in order
There
to
is.
compete at a high level, or to be effective, with archery. So, yeah, is there anything you want to add to that?
There is. We're really big on stats, so I hope this doesn't surprise anyone that loves to try to think about providing opportunities for success. So twice now since we began, we've asked our children, our students, to give us
Hmm.
feedback on the program. And I have some
Sure.
amazing stats, and I've got two that I want to do at the end for a reason, because they're what I call my academic indicators for educators out there. But you know,
Right.
91% said they had a positive experience shooting the bow. Daniel, how many things do 91% of the people say they like doing? I
Yeah.
mean, not everybody, 91% of people don't like cheeseburgers. 51%, more than half, said that they're more than likely to encourage others to try this. That's the boy or girl I was talking about sitting at the lunch table, riding home on the bus. 34%, I love this one, said they're more confident in other areas
Hmm.
of their life. More than a fourth of them said that archery, like you just asked, archery helps them deal with their emotions.
Hmm.
Just under half of them are proud for the first time, many times, to represent their school. Many want to continue to shoot. 34% said they want to learn new things. A third of them said they're better able to deal with success and setbacks. Now that's both good and bad. And you think about it,
Hmm.
regardless of what you're doing with public, private, whatever kind of school engagement you're talking about, you're trying to build life skills.
Hmm.
And if you tell me that a third of our kids are better able to deal with success and setbacks, and 34% of them are more confident in other areas of their life, I would say that just in shooting the bow, just in learning to focus and tune everything out except my form, where the arrow is going, what my coach has taught me, how did that shot feel, how do I feel, it didn't go the way
Hmm.
I wanted it, the arrow didn't hit where I wanted it. Well, think about this, Daniel. How about when you get a bill in the mail you can't pay? How about when you have an argument with your spouse or significant other? How about when something happens in your job that's just got you down? This isn't there, but this is getting you ready for those kinds of feelings, those kinds of situations. I can't say this. One third of our NASP respondents said archery helps them focus on the task at hand. And I would challenge you that these things are
Sure.
not really,
Yeah.
really good about helping them focus unless it's with their thumb going up to the next whatever they're looking at. I think that we have statistical data that shows the answer to the question you just asked.
Yeah, those are some impressive stats, and talks a bit about like how NASP helps provide a positive campus experience, and obviously is really enriching and developing, the students involved in the program. I don't know if you could take us through like a day in the life of archery participant, or like
Sure,
describe
sure,
the curriculum at all, but
sure.
I think the ruckus makers listening would love to
Well,
hear that.
NASP is an in-school program. What that means is we go to a school, and there'll be information that I'll provide your listeners to how to start NASP at their school.
Yeah.
You need to get the school behind it. The school determines a teacher. The teacher, therefore, is trained on the 11 steps and all the safety protocols. Daniel, we're getting ready to be in our 24th year, and we have an unblemished safety record, meaning with
Great.
24.7 kids, we have yet to have a significant injury in NASP. So the curriculum is presented to the teacher. The teacher demonstrates hands-on mastery for safety, of course. And then that teacher orders the equipment for school. We provide grants to the school to help
Mm.
offset the cost of the school. But then the school equipment comes in and the teacher sets up the archery range, usually 5 or more targets. We have 10 bows, so many right-handed, so many left-handed. We have the arrows. We shoot into an arrow curtain. All of this equipment is vetted and proven over 2 decades plus so that it's all safe and suitable for what we're doing. The teacher then begins to teach most of the students with a string bow. And the string bow is a concept that I did not invent. Many people portrayed it. Tim Strickland, the former Olympic coach, who was just a wonderful human being, Roy Grimes, many others that were the founders of this instructional aspect of it, they set this in motion. So for the teacher that's listening, for your ruckus makers, they don't have to know anything starting out. They can be a blank slate. They can
Mm.
never, as you described yourself, they could never have touched a bow. That's okay.
Right.
So
Right.
they are now equipped to help teach students the 11 steps. The students start off with the string bow, learning how to control the steps, reflecting on the shot after it's gone, and then within a short amount of time, the students are shooting arrows in the gym. It's all on a whistle command. It's all done at the same time. There's protocols for students to pull arrows and score. There's protocols for them to walk back. We don't damage schools. We don't damage floors. We don't damage anything. We definitely help kids. We don't damage
Mm.
anything. But then many schools decide that there's so much interest, so much positive culture. And I know some of your ruckus makers out there are understanding the importance of school culture. So I'd like to sneak that in now if I could.
Absolutely.
Every school has a group of kids that no one's reaching. They're not
Mm-hmm.
discipline problems. They would just as soon get through the day and you not call on them. They don't really want to cause a problem. They don't want you to bother them. They don't want to bother you. This thing
Right.
appeals to them. And Daniel, we see it over and over and over. Or we even see the kid that's in trouble that's in the principal's office. I was a principal. I would see the same 2% or less of the kids over and
Yeah.
over and over until I figured out why. And sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't figure out why. But when I did figure out why, usually they weren't in there anymore or as much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody that's listening to this because they care about kids and they care about school, they care about school culture. I used to have 2 friends in my doctoral program who said that school culture, eats everything else for breakfast. And I thought that was a great
Absolutely.
quote.
Yeah.
What if all of a sudden you had the disengaged kids, not the discipline problems, just the disengaged kids, and they had fallen in love with this archery thing? Well,
Mm-hmm.
those disengaged kids were now disengaged, and it's ready. I'm ready for my 2 favorite stats. Are you ready?
Yeah.
68% of those surveyed in NASP felt more connected to their school.
Mm.
Connected to the school. That means I'm
Yeah.
a part of my school. I don't just
Yeah.
hide. I don't get on the bus, go to school, and then get off the bus. I feel connected. I feel a part of it.
Connected. Yeah. I
You
belong there.
ask you ask 1,000 educators anywhere of any kind, of any level, give me a group of kids, show me the kids that are connected, show me the kids that are disconnected. I'm going to spend a lot more energy trying to educate these and get them ready for post-secondary life skills, personal attributes. Besides
Mm.
computation and literacy, I'm going to work that much harder just to reach those. 68% of our kids felt more connected. And here we go. Drum roll.
Number 2.
34% said that NASP makes me work harder in the classroom. Okay? We're not talking about multiplication tables and stoichiometry. We're not talking about physics. We're not talking about what, but more than a third of our kids say being in NASP made them work harder. Ask another educator. Okay, I got my kid engaged now. Now I'm motivating them to work harder.
Mm-hmm.
I've given every educator that would try NASP 2 big punches at illiteracy and dropouts. by
Yeah.
just being
It's
engaged
leverage.
and motivating. Yeah, it's leverage.
Here's how I describe it, Tommy, because the ruckus maker point of view I can describe in a sentence, which is reimagining this project of education within a traditional system. And here's the most important part. Listen to the words. So that we create campus experiences worth showing up for, right? And your archery program does that.
Yes,
You
sir.
just shared the
Yes,
the
sir.
data on that. But kids are there, they're feeling connected like they belong.
Yes,
And
sir.
if I was leading a campus these days, I would be trying to bring in as much stuff as possible that already has proven results, a track record, data. 20 something million kids, and all those decades you guys have been around, and here they are, right, showing up, and that's
Yes,
that's like get them to campus. Yeah, go
it
ahead.
is.
Sorry,
It
you wanted
is.
to you wanted to add
You
something.
made me think about something else.
Okay,
Those you said it so that school's worth showing up for.
right.
So we have 17,000 adults that we've worked with to get NASP engaged. Every ruckus maker understands the value of people because no matter
Yeah,
whether you can deny this if you want to, but I don't think you'll be truthful. We're built for relationships. We're
yeah,
built
for sure.
to connect with one another. So when you just described your viewpoint for the ruckus maker mindset, make sure that school's worth showing up for. I think about this. I think about the school that picks the kid friendly, the kid oriented educator coach that becomes a basic archery instructor. Not
Mm-hmm.
only does that person become an archery coach, they become the person that Tommy and Daniel don't want to disappoint. I want to make sure my grades are where they need to be because I want to keep shooting archery. I want to keep my behavior in check so that I don't get to not go on Saturday to the archery tournament. I want to make sure that the way I present myself represents my school. And here's what happens long term. Having been in this as long as I have, we now have NASP is now generational. It's my new
Mm.
phrase. NASP is
Yeah.
now,
Okay.
we've been around long enough that we have kids who've had kids who are now in
Mm-hmm.
NASP, and they're either coaching NASP or they're parents of NASP. So we're in our second generation. So, you, Daniel Bauer, are eating your dinner at one of your favorite restaurants, and you were the NASP coach for several years at your local school. Up walks this young man who's no longer a kid, and he says, "Hey, honey, this is my coach, Daniel Bauer. He's the
Mm-hmm.
man that let me believe in me. He's the man who, through archery, became my role model, my mentor,
Mm-hmm.
someone I didn't want to disappoint." When you talk about making school a place that kids want to show up for, I'm going to bet, yes, the instructional experiences matter, but I'll bet in every school that has positive school culture and it's worth showing up for, there's some men and women in that school who make school exciting, fun, personal,
Mm-hmm.
challenging, and a place that the kids want to be.
Yeah, love it. ODP Business Solutions, formerly Office Depot Business Solutions Division, has been a trusted partner for schools for 30 years. At ODP Business Solutions, we're by your side to meet your evolving education needs. Here's the thing about creating remarkable learning spaces: you need a partner who gets it. Someone who understands that transforming education isn't just about swapping whiteboards for smartboards, it's about reimagining what's possible. That's why innovative school leaders trust ODP Business Solutions. We don't just deliver supplies, we help you design dynamic learning environments that make students actually excited to show up. From tech integrations that bring lessons to life to flexible furniture that transforms any space into a collaboration zone, to sustainable solutions that teach by example, we've got everything you need to do school different. And the best part, you can get it all from a single supplier. That helps you simplify ordering and streamline budgeting while staying compliant with easy access to cooperative contracts. However you want to advance, ODP Business Solutions has 30 years of experience helping districts like yours get ahead. Visit odpbusiness.com/education to learn more. That's odpbusiness.com/education. Principals and school leaders know the hardest part isn't the hiring, it's keeping great people from burning out. Frontline Education's 2026 K-12 Lens survey report found that while recruiting and hiring has eased, gaps still remain. Districts that provide structured and sustained professional development are more likely to report better hiring outcomes. In fact, nearly half of districts that use software to automate professional growth report hiring has become easier compared to only 30% of districts who don't. If you're trying to build a campus where people feel supported, connected, and proud to stay, download the full K-12 Lens report and see what's working for districts right now. Go to frontlineeducation.com/leaders. That's frontlineeducation.com/leaders to get the full report. Something that drove me nuts as a ruckus maker was hearing teachers say things like, I taught it, they should have learned it. But really, some teachers just don't know how to teach or reteach for that matter so that all kids get it. That's where IXL comes in. IXL's diagnostic automatically identifies knowledge gaps for teachers and provides them with a personalized growth plan for each individual student. Teachers can step into the classroom every day knowing what their students know and what they don't know. IXL's adaptive platform makes differentiating instruction easy. As students learn, IXL adjusts to the right level of difficulty for each student. Close knowledge gaps and accelerate learning with IXL. Get started today at ixl.com/leaders. That's ixl.com/leaders. Well, you painted a picture of a really powerful and successful program. You sort of previewed earlier in our conversation, but what does it look like to get started? If I'm a ruckus maker listening, I got a campus, we don't have NASP yet, but we would love to. What does it take?
Well, what it takes is your interest. My email will be on this podcast when it goes out. Our website is naspschools.org, just NASP, National Archery Schools Program, schools, make sure it's plural, naspschools.org. There's a big graphic right there on the front page, and it's bringing NASP to a school near you. Here's what you need. You need to have your principal and your school to be willing to become a NASP school. And what that means, you select a teacher. I suggest to select a teacher that's kid crazy already. Get them trained as an archery coach. Agree to teach 10 hours minimum during the year. As soon as you're trained, we'll get your equipment ordered. We'll work with you on getting you some financial relief so that it's not expensive. And if you look at what some of the programs are that you're going to be talking about, NASP is relatively inexpensive when you think about the grant process. NASP works in every U.S. state with the State Fish and Wildlife Agency or similar. We have archery coordinators. When you go to our website, naspschools.org, and you go up in the upper right-hand corner and you click on Contact Us, one of the things that's going to drop down is going to be coordinators. You can go to your state. Let's say you're going to Kentucky. You'll scroll down to Lisa Johnson's name because that's the Kentucky coordinator as of right now. You'll click on Lisa. It'll be an email. You can say, hey, Lisa, I'm at such and such school. If I'm in Kentucky, I would like to learn more about starting NASP at my school. To become a NASP school, you simply need to agree to teach the curriculum during the year, 10 hours minimum during the year. And then at the end of the year, this is going to be a big step now. Daniel, we're going to ask you to log in to our online page for instructors, and you're going to say, hey, my name is Tommy Floyd. I'm BAI number, whatever. Here's my password. Enter. This year in the 25-26 school year, I taught 67 kids. And you hit enter. What you did, you just reported. You just reported how many kids you taught archery lessons to. So I want to impress you on this. When we say we have 1.2 plus or 1.3 million students, we get that number from the number of teachers who report. Right. So our numbers are not an estimate. They are an actual count of reporting. These numbers of lessons were taught by these numbers of instructors. Getting the program brought to your school is easy, but if you have any problems whatsoever, my email, tommy.floyd at naspschools.org, and I'll connect you with your state.
Wonderful. We'll add that in the show notes for people as well.
Yes, sir.
There's always, there's always people that have a hump to get over, let's say, so to speak.
Okay.
So, and I know principals are very busy. So what would you say to a principal who thinks they're too busy for this program?
Well, one, I'd say thanks. I think I was a assistant principal in a high school for 2, and I was a principal at a high school for 7. So I do know what that day looks like. I do know the stress
Yeah.
that happens before you can get back to make morning announcements. Okay?
Right.
I know things happen that are beyond your control. I know kids make some terrible decisions sometimes. That's why they're not treated like they're 30. They're just 14 or 15. You got to remember that. I would say this. Every one of you, regardless of where you are, you're looking for something to reach the unreached. You're looking for something to increase your positive culture in your school. You're looking for something to engage kids that everything you've tried has been fruitless. You're looking to build some excitement. You're looking to find a way to build to plug in more female participants. Half of our participants, we're a 50-50 male-female program. There's lots of reasons that have nothing to do with the letters ARCHERY. All those things I just named, I didn't say archery, but they're going to occur. If you select the right teacher and they go to training and they start teaching archery and you end up with an archery team, we have schools from all over the country who come to Salt Lake City, Sandy, Utah, or Louisville, Kentucky, and they compete in our national tournament. To get there, they've gone through local, regional, state, and then national tournaments. We have 16,000 kids in 3 days shooting archery in Louisville, Kentucky in May. We'll have 2,000 or 3,000 shooting in Sandy, Utah at the last of April. We know what this does for kids. I talked to principals. I talked to a superintendent yesterday. We talked to leaders of schools, administrators. I get it. You're not an archer. That's okay. You are a kid person. You are a student advocate, or you wouldn't be in the role you're in. And you're looking at your test scores every year, and you're looking at the students who don't participate in clubs or sports or music or anything else. And you're asking your people in faculty meetings, how do we engage these X number of kids that data says aren't doing anything here except getting on a bus, going to school, getting off the bus at home? We need to find a way to engage these kids. NASP isn't going to engage them all, but it is going to engage some. And if you go to our website and you go to Why NASP, it's about middle way down the page. There's story after story after story of a kid who is now an adult who is talking about what NASP did for them. Some of my favorites, I've got some policemen in there. I've got some nurses in there. I've got some teachers, some counselors, some doctors. We've got people that attribute NASP with being something that just kind of woke them up and turned them on to who they could be. And to me, Daniel, that's, if we care about kids, we need to be able to find ways for more of those kids to find success.
Absolutely. And from what I understand too, you talk about how so many kids are successful within this program. Students with disabilities have thrived within the program too.
Absolutely. I just shared a story in Kentucky not long ago of an archer, a blind archer. Last year, we had a boy shoot in the national tournament without the use of his arms because he doesn't have arms. We've had students in wheelchairs. We have hearing impaired students. We have a special section on our website called Reducing Barriers. We believe that NASP reduces barriers. We think that those kids want to be just as successful as anyone else. You know why? Because it's true. They want to feel the same success everybody else does. And we're a program that can just about involve anyone. We have kids that shoot off braces. They use their mouth to shoot. They can't use their arms. We have kids in wheelchairs. We have kids who really have a tough time suffering from some physical issue, and yet they find a way to get in that gym. They find a way to get on that line. I watched a girl with cerebral palsy from down south shoot in the national tournament, and she had to go through so much just to get her walker brace out there on that lane. But Daniel, she was
Yeah,
out there. And when she turned around after her first end of arrows, her smile wasn't any different than anybody else's.
that's
Her
right.
nervousness was no different. She wasn't thinking about cerebral palsy. She was thinking about the fact she was an archer.
That's fantastic. I've really enjoyed this conversation, Tommy. Now it's time for the last three questions I ask all my guests. So, number one, if you could put one message on all school marquees around the world for a single day, what would your message be?
Every child needs success. What are you doing?
That's right. And Tommy, if you were building your dream school, you didn't have any constraints in terms of resources. Your only limitation was your ability to imagine. What would be the three guiding principles of this dream school?
Well, I would start off by saying the people who work there were all about personalized learning. Yes,
Mm,
there's some things you need to know and be able to do to graduate from our school, but personalizing learning and the way you attack instruction needs to be personalized to every child. Like you said, your mindset for your ruckus makers is make school a place kids want to show up for. Second,
mhm,
it would be infinite in the amount of technology and equipment that we would have access to. We're living in an age from when I started my public education career 1,003 years ago. Technology's come a long way. And so I would
mhm,
make sure that if a student wanted to pull in information from multiple access points, they could do so with technology available. And third, I believe strongly in student voice.
mhm,
I would really want to emphasize as I looked at some form of a continuous improvement model. We get better every year providing instruction for the kids at our dream school because our kids continue to give us feedback about their learning. I think
mm,
I think if the adults in the school are comfortable enough to listen to the kids in their feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly, things like that I've done in my career, listening to what kids really liked, what kids didn't like, and what kids thought that if we could just change this, it would make such a big difference. I think those three things. And then personalized learning, access to infinite technology, and listening to student voice would be my big three components.
right on. We covered a lot of ground in today's conversation, Tommy. Of everything we discussed, what's the one thing you want a ruckus maker to remember?
Well, this is a great one, and I love this question. I guess I would say this at 63. I remember 23. I remember finishing my first year in a middle school in Southern Kentucky, and I think about how many lessons I've learned. You're trying to help students have a better future. You're trying to find ways to give success to kids. The one thing that I would remind you on is before you get yourself your socks in a wad about things that you can't control, how you treat every one of your kids. When you've got a disruptive kid, there's a reason that kid's disruptive. They're not wired for disruption. They're probably enduring something that you wouldn't want to endure either. As I look back over coming up on 40 years, 40 plus years of helping kids, I think about the relationships I've had with thousands. I think about how I treated them. I think about how my adults treated me. I think about those individuals that made me believe in Tommy Floyd, just like you, Daniel, were made to believe
Mm,
in yourself. I would tell the ruckus makers out there, when you go to some decision maker and you say, I want to do this because I think this is going to be great for kids. If you can't find someone in that school that says, okay, I'll take a chance on you, find somewhere they will. I mean,
mm,
we've got enough closed mindedness, we've got enough dead systems. If you believe strongly in something and you're doing some of the stuff that you've heard us talk about in Daniel's other podcast for kids, find a place that'll let you do that. Relationships, relationships, relationships. And if you can find a way for a kid to get one little win, it could lead to a second win and a third win and a fourth win. And then you know what you call that kid? That kid's a winner.
Hey, Ruckus Maker, thanks again for pressing play. I hope you enjoyed this show as much as I enjoyed recording it. And before you go, if today's episode shifted something for you, where you want to do school different or you have a new idea about education, then I want to invite you to subscribe to ruckusmakers.news. That's our newsletter. And you get 3 new opportunities to do school different every week sent to your inbox. It's trusted by over 5,000 school leaders. And if you want to reimagine education within a traditional setting so that you could create a campus experience worth showing up for, subscribe for free at ruckusmakers.news.